This is the Sports Porch, Black and Gold, with your hosts, the technical director, the Grand Schwabini, and Hockey Jesus. Come on, Pittsburgh. Let's show a little Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates love. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now. Yes, it does. The Sports Porch Black and Gold starts now. Welcome to the Sports Porch. Here we are. If you're watching us live every Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And of course, I do drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your freaking podcasts. And you can always listen to us live on Radio PGH. I like to drop that stream right down there in the comments. I am your technical director. To my right in the studio and my left on the screen, because you're a stickler about that, is Hockey Jesus.
Well, right on the screen, but, you know, whatever.
And you can see that the Grand Schwabini has now morphed himself into the counselor below me.
That was quite a feat you did there, technical director.
Yes, thank you very much.
I do have discernibly more hair, though, so...
Took the words right out of my mouth. So joining us from
moderately, maybe,
the undercover bunker in Squirrel Hill is the counselor, Scott, who is probably, honestly, besides you, I would put a tie between you guys, the biggest Pittsburgh sports fans I've ever met in my life. And I've lived here 32 years now.
Feat.
So yeah,
longer than Scotty has.
Yeah, but you know, Scott had good reasons for it. You know,
yeah, of course. You know, it's called a job.
I just had a 23-year gap.
Making a living.
It's called government work. So
government work. That's a good way to put it. So not always.
Thanks for joining us here. We're going to get right into things.
Chris Schott is ready to jump right in.
He is. What did he say?
He is not waiting. Here, I'll pull it up.
There he is.
There you go.
Yep. O'Neill Cruz is absolutely not a center fielder. What a catastrophe. Hey, look, we're going to have a lot to talk about that. If you're watching us, first thing I want you to do is go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button at the Sports Porch Podcast and hit the notification so you know when we go live, which is every Monday night at 7:30. But we're going to do a little Steelers talk because obviously the Aaron Rodgers saga continues and everybody's tired of it, but everybody's talking about it. And HJ decided to catch up with me this week and do a little research on the Netflix.
I did.
Right?
On Enigma, yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's on Netflix. And we'll get the counselor's thoughts on this because I don't think we have talked to you, Scott, since the Aaron Rodgers saga began.
Scott doesn't like to talk about Aaron Rodgers.
I know.
Well, I'm still wondering if we might see Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or I'm sorry, Russell Fields or Justin Wilson. I think Chris, you were stuck on for a while.
Well,
no, they've moved on, Scott.
We know they're in New York. You're just trying to make fun of me. And the Buccos season is underway.
I hear Joe Flacco's available too.
They get off to a really kind of I wouldn't say it's a horrible start.
I would say it's an epic start.
When you start 1-3, but right, there's some things we'll talk about there. March Madness is here, and we can do a little talk about the Final Four and the number one seeds all in the Final Four. We do have a Trader Joe's snack time.
We might even talk about the Frozen Four.
Well, I think we should talk about the Frozen Four.
Okay.
It's a great day for hockey.
You know what, counselor, since you took the time to join us from your secret basement in Squirrel Hill, we're more than happy to talk about anything you want, anything your heart desires.
But we're going to get to O'Neill Cruz real soon.
Yeah, we are. And then we have what we're watching. So let's start real quick with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I did not know this, and I just love putting it. Look at that face.
That's why I left the graphic up there, because I knew you would want to put that up.
Yeah. Who would you rather have, that guy or that guy? I mean, if you didn't know who they were, let's just go there. For those of you listening, it's a picture of Mason Rudolph holding the football, playing for the Steelers, looking like he's looking downfield, and then a picture of what looks to be like a kind of a pouty Aaron Rodgers in a Jets helmet.
Without a football and without a chin strap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my money, if I don't know who they are, that's the guy that looks like a quarterback.
Yeah, that's because he's holding the ball like a quarterback.
So fill me in here. Rodgers was seen throwing to Derek Metcalf.
I mean, that's all it was. Supposedly they were in Vegas. I don't know. He probably had some kind of like some sort of voluntary thing that he had to do to make some money for some charity, and they were probably there together. So they're probably like, let's throw the ball. We might be teammates soon, or maybe not. If you listen to Tomlin's, did you listen to Tomlin's interview with Max Starks, their counselor?
Yeah, I did not.
I didn't, but I did listen to Cam Hayward's comments.
What did Cam say? I didn't hear that.
Well, Cam first said, if you want to be here, great. If not, move on. No skin off my back. And then, 5 days later, he clarified, I'd love to see Aaron Rodgers here. And maybe it was taken out of context a little bit, but
yeah, I'm sure it was.
This has gone on long enough, man. It's dude, Chris, I'm ready. I think the last time I was on the show with you, you used the words dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
don't
there.
do it.
I'm
please,
there, bro.
please don't do it. Don't do it.
There.
Don't put it up. You're going to make him put up the flames again.
There you are.
For God's sakes, the flames. Well, anyway, I did listen to the interview with Max Starks and Tomlin. It's on the Steelers website if you want to check it out. I think it was on the app, so I just decided to listen to it. And essentially what he said, and I'm going to paraphrase, the things he said about DK Metcalf is that the guy controls the schematics, whatever that means, and he has intangibles to other things on the field, and he's a difference maker, and he's a significant talent. So that's what he said about DK. Some platitudes, and really didn't really say anything. He did talk about the quarterbacks, kind of. He was asked a question about Arthur Smith, and he basically said he sees Arthur Smith as a sophomore. He's in his second year, so he expects to see.
That's still junior varsity, isn't it?
I think so, but he still expects to see significant step forward in the offense. Mm-hmm. I hope so too. Mm-hmm. And when asked about the quarterbacks, he said, the typical things of why they got Mason Rudolph, because he's used to him. He's familiar. Does that sound familiar? That sounds like Kenny Pickett territory there. Well, we picked him because he's familiar, and we know he's somebody that we know, and everything.
I think he also said we've seen growth and development in that regard.
Yeah, he said he was big on familiarity, whatever the hell that means. And then when he talked about he just jumped right in there, and Aaron Rodgers, he's like, "Hey man, we had an awesome day with Aaron," and I'm like, "What? Did he just say he had an awesome day with Aaron?" And he said they were bouncing ideas around, and he was getting to know him in an intimate way. Ooh. I'm not really sure what that meant, but I think what he was saying, I think what he was basically saying was he liked what Rodgers had to say, and if they can probably come up with a number that fits the Rooney's budget, that he's probably going to be a Steeler. I was reading between the lines there, but
are you sure they weren't at Laurel Caverns down in some deep dark cave together? No,
where are those meetings going on? Down in Miami, down at Mar-a-Lago, probably.
Yeah.
Probably down there. You're going down to Florida. Why don't you check them out when you get down?
Yeah, I'll do some recon.
That's a good idea. And then the other thing that he talked about was Troy Fautano and Roman Wilson. Once again, they're in their sophomore season, so he sees significant growth. At one point, he was talking like Roman Wilson's going to be like CA3, meaning CA3 missed his rookie year, and he thinks that Troy Fautano is going to be like the Castro. So I thought that seems a little high, but I guess Castro missed most of his rookie season. So I think that's what he was trying to talk about, not necessarily the talent.
You sure he's not going to be like Jermaine Stevens?
He could be, but I think Jermaine Stevens.
That's the other first round pick. That would be the guy the previous year.
I think Jermaine Stevens actually played more his rookie season than these guys did, to be honest with you. He said he was really excited about the offensive line, and that the defensive guys that they got, including Slay, bring a savvy veteran presence. So it was a bunch of platitudes. The last thing he talked about, you'll like this, Chris.
I like it all so far.
He said at the end, he was like, I know you don't, Max Starks is saying, hey, I know you don't have hobbies or anything, but I know you like to try and do something in the postseason. What did you do this year? And he said, and this wasn't this past year, the year before. Last year, he got really into boating, and he also likes to get into real estate. So I'm thinking like maybe he and the property diva can get together and make some pretty good sales that way.
Maybe he can help Ed Gainey clean up some of the houses in the East End.
No, he didn't talk about politics. He didn't seem to be hyper focused, as he called it.
Podcast.
And he said that he actually didn't have any hobbies that he really got into this past year. So maybe he was actually thinking about football.
Are you talking about Tomlin?
Yeah, Tomlin. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Tomlin's decided he likes real estate?
Real estate and boating. That's what he got into in the postseason the last 2 years. Now, this past year, he wouldn't go into detail about what he went into. He said he really didn't get into much this year. So
I can feel a Rodney Dangerfield comment coming on here.
Yeah, I
and no, it was really weird. He was like, yeah, I got into everything boating, like how to drive the boat, how to get the boat ready, and I'm like, you have to figure out how to drive a boat.
How about how to jump off a boat?
So
a sinking one called the
I was really hoping to get, a little bit more insight there. The only insight I think I really got out of that was he's comfortable with Aaron Rodgers. The way he was talking, he absolutely is comfortable with Aaron Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh. I think at this point it's a matter of money and Rodgers just playing the waiting game.
Yeah, well,
and after watching Enigma, I can see why he wants to play the waiting game. He has quite a busy offseason.
Now you understand.
I do. Actually, I do understand it a little bit more.
No, we just lost the counselor. I guess he's so pissed off you talked about Aaron Rodgers for longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
It's time to
No,
leave.
it's probably those flames. You probably burn him up with those flames. That's what I'm thinking.
Burn him right off the screen. Well,
so yeah, that's the tidbit from the Tomlin world. If you've seen it, then you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I think it's funny how he seems to be in the off season concentrating on everything but football.
Well, this past year he didn't say what he got into, so maybe he actually was thinking about football in this past season.
I don't know. I think that anybody who wants to, and we're going to, the HJs obviously is giving away what we're watching is later. So we'll get into that. But anybody who wants to understand the mind of Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's in a small way.
Right. If you watch that, it gives you a little bit more of a perspective into how he thinks and why he does the things he does.
Mm-hmm.
But in truth, bringing it back to sports and back to the Steelers, I don't blame Aaron Rodgers at all. Mike Lawrence comments, thanks for being here again, Mike. Aaron Rodgers, the prima donna, is holding the Steelers hostage enough already. At the very best, he would be a short-term solution if he plays well and shows up. The counselor is back. Listen, guys, Aaron Rodgers is not holding the Steelers hostage.
No, I don't think he is. After watching Enigma, I agree with you.
The Steelers are holding themselves hostage.
I totally agree on that.
For buying into this ridiculous notion that somehow Aaron Rodgers is some sort of answer to their playoff prayers next year. We've talked about
this year. I think actually when Tomlin was saying they were bouncing ideas around, like they were literally talking about how they could get to the Super Bowl.
Who gets to take home the Lombardi first?
I do. I think they're that. I think they're that. I don't even know what the word is.
Delusional.
Delusional, right? Delusional. Thank you, counselor. That I think they're that delusional that they think the two of them, with their expertise and playing football as long as both of them have together, if they meld their minds, they will just automatically end up in the Super Bowl. I do. I believe that.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I obviously they believe something.
The one thing I have to say,
he's really glad that you put the flames up.
Yeah.
We thought it burnt you up, and that's why you left. It just like poof. Yeah. He just disintegrated.
Yeah. So I blame the Steelers for this 100%.
I think the Steelers don't mind it. The other thing that Tomlin was comfortable talking about was, hey, if we got to go with Mason, he's a competent quarterback. We know what he brings to the table, and he can be our starting quarterback. He didn't say that, But that's basically what he was saying, that if Rodgers doesn't sign, they're perfectly comfortable with Mason as the number one quarterback. He did not talk at all about Skylar Thompson. Not one word.
Why would he?
Yeah. Well, he has what Justin Wilson also has, which is a winning record among anyone who's been quarterback the last, I don't know, 5 years since Ben retired, right? It's only Mason and Justin Fields.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, didn't know Russ has a winning record. Wasn't he 6-5?
I thought he was 5-5.
No, I think he was.
That's still okay in Tomlin's world.
Yeah, who cares?
That's a non-losing record.
My fault. My bad.
And you can't include any playoff games because that automatically negates a lot of things.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what Mike Lawrence said. Aaron Rodgers is the prima donna holding the Steelers hostage. At the very best, he would be a very short-term solution if he plays well and shows up. That part I agree with. It's a big if, and that big if is just based on the fact that he's 41, going to be 42 years old. His skills as far as mobility are diminished. He still has a pretty good arm, and he can still obviously read defenses. Mm-hmm. But the Steelers are holding themselves hostage, and I think it's time that the fans stood up and said enough already.
I don't think the Steelers see themselves as that.
I know they don't. But I'm not. The Steelers are holding themselves hostage, meaning that, and we've talked about this over and over and over again. And that's what makes things so difficult right now, really in Pittsburgh sports. Mm-hmm. When you're talking about professional Pittsburgh sport, even if you go down to Pitt, we're talking about the same stuff over and over again. Tomlin inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
And now we see the kind of coach that he really is. Mm-hmm. If you deliver him,
when it comes to the offensive side of the ball,
right? Mm-hmm. If you deliver him something that is pre-made, all he has to do is heat it up in the oven and serve it. That's it. Mm-hmm. But don't give him a kitchen with ingredients and ask him to create a masterpiece. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's not. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there that they come into a situation and they're not known for being completely developmental, but the quarterback and the offense clicks. That's called putting the right people in the right places. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you would expect him to do this in 5 years, but it's not. So it's not that. It's the way it's been handled. With before Ben leaving mm-hmm. and drafting Mason and not having a conversation with your quarterback about that and all the shit that went down there.
Yeah.
And then as Ben was retiring, whether there was the question whether or not they wanted him to retire, he wanted to retire, and it was almost just like the Bradshaw era. It was almost as if he was kind of forced out in a way. We'll never know the real true story. And then the drafting of Kenny Pickett after falling in love with the guy.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Clearly. It was a mistake.
That was familiarity. Yeah. That was familiarity confirmation bias.
Right. It was absolutely. Yeah.
The bottom 100%. Line here is the organization needs an enema. What WWCD? What would the chief do? Okay.
Right.
Well, he would go play in Ireland. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, seriously, like the Steelers wouldn't put up with this shit 20 years ago. It's complacency. That's the bottom line.
Well, you need a real leader that's an owner, and they don't have one now, and they're not getting one.
Well, a ton of credit for go out and getting DK Metcalf, and obviously quarterbacks don't grow on trees, but they talked themselves into this situation to the point that they're holding themselves hostage. And seriously, maybe there's a 5% chance that this goes well with Rodgers. 60% chance it's meh, and 35% chance it's a freaking unmitigated disaster. Okay. And he gets killed behind an offensive line that needs another year together before they gel. Okay. So I'm not saying the offensive line is terrible. Mm-hmm. They have something there.
Well, they haven't played all together about yet.
Left tackle. Mm-hmm. But they need to play together for a year. Mm-hmm. And who's gonna carry the ball? Because I love Jaylen Warren, but he's not going to take 22, 24, 26 totes a game. No way.
Nope.
No, they'll get another running back. Watch.
I think they're going to draft a running back.
Maybe. I mean, that Omicron I'm saying that wrong. The North Carolina running back.
Sounds like it sounds like a.
There was a picture of him on their Instagram.
Sounds like a transformer.
There was a picture of him on their Instagram today, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Now, Chris Chada says reports are the Steelers love Milroe from Alabama. Well, they love Howard too, and they love Jackson Dart, and they love everybody they meet with on their pro days or see out on the street walking around. I mean,
they met with the whole Alabama team, so of course you're going to meet with Milroe.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they pick a quarterback this year, they pick a quarterback this year. I mean, I think what we've learned with this regime is that we're never really sure.
Just please don't do it in the first round. They so desperately need a defensive tackle. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, we covered that last week. Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat here, but I mean, seriously, I might burn my seat license in front of the building if they frickin'
don't do that. That's like, setting $5,000 on fire.
Look, if you decide you want to do that, can we schedule it just so we can be there to watch it?
Oh yeah. It's a filming event for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I want to bring this back to the guy we're talking about, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, that guy.
I have two things to say. And actually this will sound like I'm defending Tomlin, but I'm not really.
Okay.
First is, if Rodgers does come back, it's the second year after his Achilles injury, and somebody's going to be much more mobile in the second year as opposed to the first year.
Yes, this is true and a good point.
I'm not saying that he is fast, but I am saying that he'll have a little bit more mobility. And from what I've seen, it looks like he does work a little bit on that, and he does care about his health.
He's very pocket aware.
Yeah, so I think that's okay. Secondly, we're talking about Tomlin, and rightfully so. Inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback and taking him to winning his only Super Bowl with him. Well, there's a guy in Green Bay who inherited Aaron Rodgers and never won a Super Bowl with him. Not one.
That's true.
So I mean, he could be worse. And I'm not saying that that he's not going to end up winning a Super Bowl with the quarterback he has now. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But the reality is, Tomlin did win that Super Bowl with that team. And winning a Super Bowl is not an accomplishment that you want to minimize, for sure. So, and that's where we want to get back to. So I'm just hoping that, and clearly from the interview that Tomlin did, they're absolutely 100% comfortable going with Mason Rudolph. And I think they would be very happy if Aaron Rodgers came in, but they don't feel like they're held hostage. They're moving forward as if something's going to happen and they're comfortable with it either way.
I just don't buy that narrative. I mean, I get what you're saying and how it sounds like they're saying that.
I think it's delusional, like the counselor said, but I perfectly think they're comfortable with that situation. And I don't know how they can be, because you need to know who your starting quarterback is before you can put it in offense. I'm sorry. That's
Stevie,
what you have to have.
So Stevie, you've accomplished getting me from 5 to 10% that this may go well, but I could potentially go to
I'll take it.
I could go to 15%, but
let's just keep it at 10 for now. I'm happy with that win.
It's still a 55% chance that it's meh, and it's a 30% chance that it's terrible.
I don't think it's going to be terrible, because I honestly think that Tomlin has set some kind of deal with the NFL where he's going to get 9 or 10 wins the rest of his career.
See, Chris, this is when we know Steve's been spending a little too much time with you.
Really?
Because he's on the conspiracy bandwagon.
Oh
well, I live there sometimes.
He's 100% there with me.
Yeah.
Marvin's in the house. What's up, Marvin? Good evening, guys.
Hey, Marvin. What's going on?
Commenting on your Packers stuff. That's because the Packers never put a team around Rodgers after that first win. I mean, you can make arguments all the way around for that. You can also say that, they just didn't have it. I mean, there's a lot like you said.
Yeah.
I'm not taking away the fact that Tomlin's first team that he inherited mostly, went to the Super Bowl and he was able to win it. It takes a lot. You've got to coach those people through the season. They've got to buy into who you are.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of teams who were good teams and a new coach walks in and things just go to shit. So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah. The team definitely didn't go to shit. I mean, they made a couple championship games. They just couldn't make it the whole way. But Tomlin did make it the whole way. So you got to give him the credit for that.
They were better at music videos than they were championship games.
Yeah. Yeah. Scott, do you want to just light that seat license on fire right now?
No,
just hold it out to your left and just put it right in those flames right there.
I'm trying not to hurl.
All right. Well, listen, the saga, I was going to say the Sicario.
I like the saga because this is certainly the saga.
The Aaron Rodgers saga continues, of course. But I want everybody to take a step back and realize that, delusional or not, I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know how you can run an NFL franchise and think that not knowing exactly who your starting quarterback is okay at this point in the off season.
Yeah.
Unless you're a team who like hit absolute rock bottom and everybody knows like you're going to take your quarterback in with your first pick. Let's talk about Cleveland. Are we headed in that direction? I mean,
we absolutely could be.
Who knows?
The one thing with watching Enigma, when he moved on from Green Bay, he did make a decision before the draft. Yeah, they did do that. So if the Steelers, I'm hoping that the Steelers said, "Hey, you got to make this decision before the draft starts, so we know which direction to go in."
Yeah, hasn't there been some hype around this Pat McAfee event in Pittsburgh?
Oh yeah, the live event of PPG. Yeah, next Saturday, I think.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
Yeah, maybe could be. There is some hype about it because, he is a McAfee guy.
Yoho's son says we should just call Tim Tebow or Cam Newton. That's a pretty good idea.
I think Yoho's definitely on to something
I back that all the way. Marvin, quick question. Do you guys think that this is a make or break season for Mike Tomlin? Absolutely not.
No, there's no such thing anymore.
Yeah, Marvin, I think that was 2019.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let me put one little qualification on here.
Okay.
If, and I know it's a big if the Steelers were to go 5-11 or 5-12 or worse,
you think Tomlin would hang it up?
Tomlin would be fired. No, do you think he would be fired? I don't see Mike Tomlin as anybody ever hanging
I
up.
Promise you, Mike Tomlin's never getting fired.
Okay, so you're saying 5-12 or 1-16, they're keeping Tomlin.
100%.
Big if. No predictions are being made here, people. Counselor, you agree?
Yep. He's not going anywhere.
No, he's not going anywhere.
He's still invested in the real estate now.
Oh, yeah.
The real estate market is hot in Pittsburgh.
Listen, don't get me started because I will get myself in trouble. All right. Just don't.
What? Talking about hot things in Pittsburgh?
No, not that. Although that would get me in trouble too. Marvin says, thank you for your honesty. That's what we're about, Marvin. We tell it the way we see it.
I'm sorry. I had to get rid of those flames.
Yeah. Oh, you son of a bitch.
No, I bet you had to go.
We're moving on now. All right. Let's move on. Thanks for watching. If you're watching us live right now on Facebook, YouTube, or X, of course, jump on over to YouTube, hit subscribe at the Sports Porch Podcast. We're up to almost 110 followers, man.
I saw it.
Since we started focusing on it, we went from like 9 followers and now we're over 100.
I know.
So we want to get that to 1,000 as quickly as possible. I do drop the podcast right after the show in the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your freaking podcasts. I was out of breath. Okay, let's do it. Let's have a little Buccos talk. For all you incredible Buccos fans out there.
You might want to bring the flame back up.
Yeah. Maybe.
No,
I don't want to.
No, let's not.
Yeah.
Let's talk about their historic start.
Yeah. So the Buccos season is underway. They have a 1-3 start, which is, I mean, look, we do a show for the other side of the state.
It's better than the Red Sox.
Philadelphia Sports Porch. It's better than the Brewers, who are 0-4, and the
better than Twins. The Twins are 0-4.
Who's Atlanta's team?
The Braves.
Braves, damn it. Yeah.
The Braves are 0-4.
The Braves are 0-4. I mean,
we're better than a lot.
I mean, come on. They're better than the Braves. They're better than the Braves.
We're better than the Braves.
God damn it. We're better than the Braves. So
where's Sid Bream when you need him?
Seriously.
Wow.
Seriously. So, you can't read a whole lot into a 1-3 start. So, unless unless you're the Pirates. I mean, we were talking about this on the Philly show, and the Phillies, they're 3-1. Kyle Schwarber's blasting home runs. Their starting pitching doesn't look bad. Bullpen's a little shaky. And of course, me and Rube were talking, it's like, but you can't read a whole lot into a 3-1 start. You really got to get 3 to 5 series into a season before you start to see the depth of a team, because baseball is a marathon and it's a long grind, and every team, good, bad, average, has periods of time where they look great and periods of time where they look horrible.
Yeah.
Except when you're the Pirates. They buck that entire trend.
Yeah.
And as fate would have it, Nick Gonzalez breaks his ankle. I mean, have we seen this before?
As he hits a home run.
As he hits a home run.
As he's walking around the bases.
Yeah, literally. Literally. Like, the O'Neill Cruz thing was like, do you teach your kids how to slide right? And now it's like, do you teach them how to trot around the goddamn bases without breaking their ankle? He's walking around celebrating. Anyway, I guess that would be the fourth walk-off that the Pirates had this week.
Oh,
yeah. I feel bad. But Greg Brown, Chris Chata says, Greg Brown has named the Pirates the running Bucks, giving credit when it's due. The Pirates seem for now to be very aggressive on the bases. Look,
yeah, it's smart.
That's a replay from 2 years ago when they started the season 20-9. That's a total replay. They were super aggressive on the bases because that's when it was the year that they changed the rules.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
It won't last, Chris. I hate to say this. It won't last. That's not Derek Shelton.
Yeah, Chris,
that's not the way he plays the game.
I like the call out, and I mean, since we're on this, I mean, they have done a nice job with the walks rather than swinging at everything. So I'll give a little credit there, but it's pretty important to get on base and steal bases when you bat like 118 with runners in scoring position too. So,
yeah, that's the thing. They had a lot of runners in scoring position and just couldn't do it. I think Brian Reynolds was the only one who got a hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the stats right now.
That was that was in I think the first game actually.
Right.
And where they took the lead into the ninth inning, I think, in all their games, or tied anyways. And what is up with Bednar? Is he done?
I think so.
What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I heard Kevin Gorman on the radio earlier, and I really like Kevin Gorman. He was saying that he talked to a couple scouts, and what's really happening, I guess, is Bednar, since he had that injury last year in spring training.
Your comments, Chris, don't worry.
He's had a hard time with movement on his fastball, and I guess that I didn't see that home run he gave up that was a walk off, but I guess it was right in the meat of the plate, and because he doesn't have that, that's given it's given him a hard time because he's not able to set up his other pitches, which are, not his primary pitches. So
yeah, I heard somebody talking. I forget who it was, but I think it was a Pirates. Actually, you know who it was? It was the mayor, Casey. He was talking about it, and he said the problem with him is his location. Before he was hitting corners and painting the corners, and now he's just throwing it right in the middle of the plate.
The plate.
Yeah, they're just jumping on it, and he can't get it back. He can't get the location back, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, Bednar was never touted as a generational talent.
That's true.
I think he had a couple good years where he was on his game.
2 years ago, he was in the All-Star game.
Yeah, and honestly, I look at him now and I think past his prime and playing for an organization that always has you in it's a closer's job to be in a pressure situation,
right?
Of course, but every time you come in the game, it's like they're not going to get me a bigger lead.
Yeah.
So I think it's a combination of that and mechanics.
Well, they got to figure this out quickly too, because Holderman's in the same situation. And Holderman for 2/3 of the season last year was terrific and lights out, and it just like a switch turned, And I can't remember if it was before or after he cut his hair. Maybe that's why he cut his hair. Maybe he needs to cut his hair again. I don't know, but they need somebody else to come in those high leverage situations. They need both a closer and a setup guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And now Majinski had to go into the starting lineup because of Jones's injury. So,
right.
I turned the game off. I don't know if you guys have, if you're peeking at it, but
no. Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's 2-0 Rays, bottom of the fourth. Yeah. Oh, make it 4.
Did that happen right in front of your face?
Right in front of my face. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard to talk about the Pirates. It's so hard to be positive about it. Everything you're saying is right, Counselor, as far as a setup guy and a closer. You just look at their lineup, top to bottom, it's not good. It's just not good.
And I think they have some promise in the bullpen. I think Santana's been pretty good, and they just need two guys there. And I mean, honestly, like it, I think the frustrating thing is, the bottom line is, they say that they're going to improve in the organization, and, Stevie, to your point, they're off to a historic start because of, the 3 walk-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
First time, I think you said, since 24.
Yeah. 19, 20, 24. I think you're right.
The real frustrating thing is you get these leads and you say that, the team's mantra was they were going to play, good technical baseball. And that was like out the window when, we see the adventure that we have in center field.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I think,
Chris. Yeah.
I think that you should have expected that, to be honest with you.
Do you think this is true? Chris Chada says, and I think he's playing with a toothpick in his mouth. WTF?
I didn't notice that. That's a good pickup, Chris. I'll have to check that out. Let's see.
Why not? I mean, you got to keep your teeth clean for when you go in the dugout. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I was eating something the other day. I had to go get a flosser. Maybe you should put a flosser in there. Just stick it in there.
Chris says it's blue, so he must be playing with a toothpick.
He must have to get those seeds out of his mouth when he's out there or something.
I mean, honestly, we don't know if that's true or not, but if you're letting a guy go out there play professional baseball with a toothpick in your mouth, you need your head examined.
Why not? If you can put a chew in, you can put a toothpick in.
A toothpick is a pointy thing. If he goes down to try to catch a ball and hits his face.
We all know he's not going to go down to try and catch a ball, so
true,
we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, he's just a centerpiece out there. Yeah.
That being said, Brian Reynolds in right field is pretty amazing. That guy's he's pretty damn good out there.
What's funny is I'm
trying to pull a positive out of something.
I know you are. I know. We're on O'Neill Cruz right now.
That's impossible.
He starts the year in center field. Last year he finished the year in center field. He's never, as far as we know, played center field in his life.
No.
So am I saying give the guy a break? No, because he's a professional baseball player making a lot of money.
Fair enough.
He should be ready for the season. But I am still not sold on O'Neill Cruz, and I never have been. And I will continue to sing that song until the guy puts a full season together where he actually hits 30 home runs and actually steals 30 bases and bats, 280.
You've been very consistent about that message.
Absolutely. But I'm sick and tired of hearing, first of all, I get why the true fans, love to tout O'Neill Cruz as an up and coming talent, because you want to have hope, and hope is the memory of the future.
That was Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And he just won't leave my head. So
the philosopher, not the quarterback.
That was Aaron Rodgers. You're absolutely right. So, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay, guys. It really is. But O'Neill Cruz sucks. Okay.
It's okay to say it.
He sucks. It's all right. The Pirates organization has to hold somebody up there to get people to buy tickets. And Paul Skeens is up there, but they always trot this O'Neill Cruz character out there who's like 9.5 feet tall. Did you know the Teletubbies were actually like 7 feet tall?
Yes, I did know that.
I know
I'm sad. It's sad that I know that, but I know
it's sad
true.
that you know that. that kind of makes it sad that I know that. But Cruz sucks. Okay, let's just call it. He sucks. Why? Because by the time he got to the major leagues, he should already have had a position to play. Okay, and they put him out at shortstop, where he always played his whole life.
Well, do we have to go through this with the Pirates?
No.
Year after year, they do it.
No, that's true.
I mean, this year they got that Pham guy to play first base. You know where he's playing today? Left field.
There you go. Chris Chada quoting HJ, got to keep the scam going. HJ quote about the Pirates. That's exactly
true.
right. It is.
It was the con. Got to keep the con going.
The Pirate Ponzi's.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Ponzi's. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
keep
Counselor,
the con.
you're just sitting there you're like enjoying this. I think. I mean, I'm guessing you don't disagree with anything that's being said.
You know what? I'm just in the glow of, for the first time in my life, being excited about a big Penn State win. That's all, Chris. I'm gonna take the positive.
Are you transitioning to hockey?
No, we can't get to hockey yet.
It's a great day for hockey, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what?
We will get the hockey.
I stumped him. He's talking about Teletubbies now. It's like stump the chumps.
I know. I can't disagree with you. I mean, how do you talk about the Pirates right now? There's not a lot to talk about. There's just not. And again, so
it's a long season. How about that?
I was going to say we'll end it with this.
We'll check where they are at the 25 game mark.
Every week we're going to check where they are, and hopefully they're not where they are now. How about that one?
And hopefully they're still ahead of the Braves.
Hopefully, yeah. The Braves suck. I mean, they're 0-4. They suck.
Did you see the run differential for Milwaukee? They're already at like -32.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bad situation.
You want to talk about a bad start.
But it applies to all teams, though.
It does. Like you said, in one series, it's going to happen like that.
Yeah.
Maybe not -32 bad, but
yeah.
You're gonna go through some down times for sure.
Yeah. So before we move on here, remember you can subscribe to us and hit the notification buttons on YouTube at the Sports Porch Podcast. And of course, you can catch us every Monday night live all over the world at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. I think now would be a very appropriate time to explain to people what we are eating and why.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Maybe it's that time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Taste the biscuit.
Taste the biscuit.
Taste the
Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Oh, yeah. Taste
that honey sauce.
Taste the
goodness of the honey sauce.
You guys need toothpick?
Keep that honey sauce on me.
I don't
like the way it tastes my chicken wings.
Okay, that can only mean one thing.
Chicken wings are appropriate.
That it is absolutely Trader Joe's snack time. Trader Joe's snack time. What does that mean? Well, as everybody knows, I work down at Trader Joe's in East Liberty, and they are not a paying sponsor. I wish they would, but I did get permission from them to
make some good snacks.
They do make some good snacks.
Yes, it is. Sweet and sour.
So what we do is I bring home a Trader Joe's snack every week, and we review it, talk about it, tell you whether we like it, whether we don't like it, thumbs up, thumbs down. This week, Trader Joe's snack time is organic chicken nuggets. We have both the spicy nugs.
Yep.
And the organic nuggets, the regular nuggets. Really easy to make, like $3.75 for like 8 or 9 minutes. Jeff Paulus is in the house. Jeff, what's up?
What's up, Jeff? Well, I can tell you, since we've been sampling them throughout the show already.
I know.
I think the spicy ones are 10 times better than the organic, plain old Jane ones.
Uh-huh.
That spice, just because that spice really, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the spice personally.
Right.
But this has just enough spice where it's got great flavor and the spice doesn't last too long. Sometimes you get that lingering spice where if you keep eating them, it just builds and builds.
Uh-huh.
This is like, it's a spice. It lasts like maybe 15 seconds, then it's gone. I like that. That's the way I like my nuggets, spicy.
So
short and spicy.
So you're a fan of the spicy nuts?
I'm going with the spicy. I don't actually particularly like the organic ones. And it's not because they're organic. They just don't really taste like chicken. Like I said before, I think they taste more like a pressed tofu.
Really?
If it wasn't for the sauce, I don't even know why I would eat any of these.
Interesting. I like them both. I ate them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're serving them with spicy Thai chili sauce too, which is really good.
The spicy Thai chili sauce is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
But
what do you think, Counselor?
The organic ones, no. Stay away from the organic.
You know, I've been eating the Costco spicy chicken strips, which are really good. I don't know who the maker is, if it's Kirkland brand or whatever, but
oh, really? You get those? I'm gonna have to check those out.
I'm kind of a strip guy myself, more than the nuggets. The nuggets just, you know, it's kind of like eating a boneless wing. You know, to me, it just seems like it's kind of cheating. I don't know.
So you like strips over nugs and would rather have a bone?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying boneless wings to me are a very peculiar item.
Chris, it sounds like you have a bone to pick with the counselor.
No, I don't. No.
Costco has some righteous spicy chicken strips. You know.
Okay.
There's a gazillion things you can do with them. Like I've actually made chicken and waffles with them that are really good.
Well, why don't you call Costco and see if they'll pay us to talk about that?
Yeah, there you go.
Trader Joe's.
I spend enough money there. They should kick some of it back.
You spend a good amount of money at Trader Joe's too. At least your wife does. I see her down there. What is it with everybody's wives coming down to see me at
It's
Trader
the place
Joe's?
where the wives go.
Honest to God.
Like Susan loves to shop there too. She just doesn't. She's not stalking you yet.
No, not yet. She brought you the first time. It's kind of like throw me off the scent.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Amy comes down all the time. She's like,
you just need to give Ellie a job. She's there so much. She really needs an employee discount.
Seriously. Yeah, really. It's not a bad gig if you can get it. All right.
It's tough to get in, though.
Yeah, my buddy from York, Jeff, says, but this is the Trader Joe's segment.
Yeah, well, we're trying to keep it there, Jeff. It's hard. It's hard when you got,
the
counselor and the Schwabini is out. So.
I will say though that the counselor's daughter Ellie, she did a marketing class speech on Trader Joe's and how they source their.
Yeah, she was into it.
Yeah, she was really into it.
She's a believer.
She's a total believer.
Part of the Trader TJ's army.
There it is.
Well, so. You know what? TJ does have a lot of good stuff. You can't ignore the fact that their prices are right.
Yes.
And their quality is spot on.
Yeah. I'll give that to you.
Yeah. But their organic chicken nuggets, no.
Don't like them.
And most importantly, you can get in and out of that store in 15 minutes.
If you want. Yeah.
It's manageable.
I have seen people wander around, no joke, for 2 hours.
Really?
They're lost. Yeah.
Wow. Either that or lonely.
Or homeless.
We've got that too. We've got that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you stories.
Well, maybe someday.
They're
Chris.
pretty good.
It might be time for hockey pretty soon, Chris.
I agree with you 100%. Okay. All right. So in the house tonight, obviously, as always, is Hockey Jesus, who preaches on the podcast after every single Penguins game. And you can follow him on our YouTube channel at the Sports Porch Podcast. Now, Penguin season is winding down, so we are going to be moving into playoff season.
But the hockey playoffs are winding up.
And I know Hockey Jesus and the counselor, I mean, if there's anything they like a bone in, it's hockey playoffs. So I'm going to let you guys just go to town and talk to us about what we can expect coming up. And I mean, I'm guessing, before I let you go, I'm guessing we're going to have a Penguin season wrap up at some point.
Oh yeah, okay. Of course. I mean, we could do it now, but we'll wait till the season's actually over. The good thing about the last game is they finally brought a couple young guns up, Ville Koivunen and Rutger McGroarty. Rutger McGroarty has already been with the Pens. He was up for 3 games at the beginning of the season. They sent him back down. Scott, what do you think of their play?
Koivunen really impressed me. I thought that he really excelled at hunting pucks. He's been pegged as a speed guy. I mean, I haven't seen any games. I've watched some video,
right,
but I didn't have a sense for how quick his first 2 steps really were.
Yeah.
And for a guy that's not that big, I have no concerns about him, playing in the league. And, his puck hunting really stood out to me. He has a high hockey IQ. He's in good position. He can slide in and out of the slot. He didn't look out of place on the top power play unit, which kind of surprised me that they put him up there.
No, Koivunen was on the second unit, actually.
I think he was on the first unit, the first power play.
Well, today he practiced with the second unit. They had McGroarty up with the first unit.
Yeah, but yesterday I'm almost positive he jumped in there for Hayes, which, like, please get rid of Kevin Hayes already. Sorry.
Yeah, well, they're not going to do that. I agree with you. I think Koivunen, definitely his speed. The other thing that I was very impressed with, and you mentioned it, is his hockey IQ. I noticed he was really good at playing the F3. Whenever the defenseman fell down and he took over for his spot, I thought he was really aware of when he needed to do that. I thought that was an IQ that's far and above most of the new kids that come into the league. What about McGroarty? Let me go first on McGroarty. I don't think he belongs on the first line, but I do believe he belongs in the top two pairings. I think he would be okay on the third pairing too, but here's why. I think his IQ is spot on, and I love the fact that he goes to the front of the net. He's not afraid to get hit, and I think in the slot he gets open a lot in the slot. And if he can work on his shot, I think if he plays on that first line, I think he can score a lot of goals from there. What do you see?
Yeah, I think it's really the difference between those two, Koivunen and McGroarty, is the skating. And I think, both of them have a sense for that hockey IQ. And, the old saying is a good player knows what to do with the puck. A great player knows what to do without the puck.
Right.
And, they both show that. I think the challenge for McGroarty,
I agree.
The challenge for McGroarty, and I was interested, Borky on the telecast really raved about how much his skating has improved. And McGroarty himself commented on that. But for him forechecking, the thing that I found kind of troubling is his upper body movement when he's skating. He's pretty inefficient.
Yeah, he's pretty tight.
For the non-hockey types, by that, what I mean is he's really, really moving his upper body and not saving that energy, and it should be powered through your legs. But I think his shot is elite. There's no question. He got into some soft spots there.
Mm-hmm.
He did pass up a prime opportunity from the slot and made a pass, which was disappointing. But I think that was
the only one.
Yeah,
it was later in the game though, so it was more noticeable.
And I texted you and said, Chris Kunitz potential. I think the big question is, can he anticipate enough to be in the right spot to make up for his slow foot speed? That's kind of.
I agree, because his speed is definitely noticeably different than Koivunen's. And they're different players that way. And I like that, actually. I don't think everybody needs to be that way. And I think with that statement, I'm going to show this from Chris Chata. Will Sullivan be back next year? Yeah, he's definitely going to be back next year. What really I think will be interesting is what he does with players like McGroarty, who aren't fast, can't play that speed game, but yet are talented enough to have that hockey IQ. Will he be able? Do you think, this is a question for you, Counselor, do you think he'll be able to do good things with McGroarty, or will he just say, forget it, he's too slow, and send him back down?
I don't think so. I think the game is going to slow down for him. And I think he has enough hockey sense to accommodate his less than stellar skating. And he has some size too. So I think.
But do you think Sullivan will be patient with him?
I think he has to.
I hope so, but I don't know. We haven't ever seen that in the past from Sullivan. It's like when he doesn't like somebody, he just gets rid of them or stows them on the fourth line where they can do no good.
Yeah, he said all the right things, I think, post game, and I think Sully has to buy in, with what's happened down in Wilkes. I mean, they're in second place. They're really going to make a run. So
well, that's because Miroshov hasn't lost yet.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean he took Wheeling to the playoffs. Now he's going to take Wilkes-Barre to the playoffs, which is pretty amazing for him to make that jump that quickly. But he must be that good.
Yeah, I felt pretty optimistic yesterday too. I mean, just for those who are watching, the two Connors that they picked up for Toronto for a fifth rounder, which is like a bag of hockey pucks. I mean, Connor Dewar has proven that he belongs, and Connor Timmins on defense has been serviceable if he's in the third pair too.
Totally agree. I think him and he'll play with Grays, unfortunately, quite a bit, and hopefully they can get Pickering, and we'll see what happens next year with that. Hey, we would be remiss if we did not mention it. I know everybody knows, but Sidney Crosby's 20th season, averaging a point per game. Even Klein knows that now.
Even I know that. That's pretty incredible, actually. I mean, the most incredible thing about it is not just the fact that it's a Wayne Gretzky record,
right? 19, he was tied
that he was breaking, right? But it's also in the year that Ovechkin is quite possibly going to break Gretzky's.
He only needs 4 to tie, 5 to win
all-time scoring record. I just got a text from Jeff in York. Do you guys there think the Pens are going to win the cup? Well, you could put that on the comments on Facebook, buddy. I mean, what is this? What is it? Anyway, the other thing that I think is really incredible is the fact that, back to back, you have two of probably what most people in Western Pennsylvania would consider on the Mount Rushmore of hockey. Mario Lemieux right into Sidney Crosby.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's
we're totally blessed when it comes to that, and you could even say spoiled. That's absolutely true.
And he learned from the best. I mean, you look at Sidney Crosby in his private life. What do we know about his private life? Not a whole lot.
And
thank God.
It's not even necessary.
But he stays off the radar. He's a true professional in this day and age. And I'm going to say one more thing here about hockey, and then you guys can finish it up. But I'm starting to believe that hockey player that the NHL has more class acts in their league than any other professional sport. And now, there's some bad operators, some bad guys in there, but you just look at the private lives of these guys versus the other sports, and they don't make as much money.
So Chris, I'm gonna jump in here as the hockey dad, because I've had a lot of entire teams in my basement, and been to tournaments, all through the Midwest when I lived in Minnesota. And the fact of the matter is, hockey is freaking hard. Right. And it's hard because of the skating. I mean, I just can't imagine like the hours that my kid put into skating. And because of that, it takes a certain discipline. And that leads to behavior that's, I think, a little bit different than some of the other sports that you can pick up a ball and just play it.
Right.
That's an excellent point. And to your point about Ovechkin and Crosby, you have McDavid and Draisaitl and McKinnon now, and they're still not the faces of the game. It's still Sid and Ovi. I mean, that's what's amazing about their run. Maybe it's because, they played against each other in the playoffs and they play in the same division. So it's a little bit more familiar watching these two go at it. So you can call them rivals in some way, because I think that it's fair to say in the first 5 years that they really didn't care for each other. And as they've grown together on the ice, I think they've got a respect for each other and how well they played the game. And it took a lot of time, but I think it's amazing. And I've heard a lot of people say this, like they don't want to be in a world where Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin aren't part of hockey. But the reality is it's coming. It's coming quicker than we'd like it. But I think with the 20 year, and it's not a record, it's an accomplishment. It's not something he'll get a trophy for. But I can promise you it's an accomplishment that he is very proud of, even if he doesn't come out and say it, because he's always been a guy who wanted to be at the top of his game all the time, very consistent, and that's exactly what this accomplishment shows. And frankly, I think he can do it for at least 1, maybe 2 more years.
Well, and some optimism too, because I mean, the Penguins, what they're trying to do right now with all the picks and, hopefully sign a young guy or two this summer is basically what the Capitals did. And nobody saw them competing this year, yet alone leading the league at this point as they are. So
that is definitely the rosy path for the Penguins, that next year they actually could be relevant. The year after that, they could be a contender for the Stanley Cup. That is a very rosy path, though. So we're going to have to hit on at least 4 of the 5 guys coming up next year.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the rosy path, we got to call it out. Like Penn State Nittany Lions, and this is really the Penguins, because as we talk about trees and growth, half of the Penn State team came up through, well, not half, but probably a third came up through the Penn's Elite.
Counselor, I have to stop you for a second. What Scott's talking about is the NCAA men's basketball equivalent of the hockey, and the hockey is finally entering the Final Four. And correct me if I'm wrong. Which 4 divisions are playing in the Final Four, in the Frozen Four? It's the Big Ten.
Big Ten, which is Penn State. Hockey East, which is BU.
Right.
Western Michigan, which is in the NCHC, and then Denver, which is, I think, maybe the WCHA, or the WCHA folded. But anyway, this is a big deal. It's the first time that Penn State has made it this far, and the growth of that program. And Matt DeMarsico, who's from Wexford and came up through the Penn's Elite, scored the game-winning goal yesterday in overtime.
Yeah, it was a really sweet goal too.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's really important for the growth of hockey in Pennsylvania, but specifically Western Pennsylvania, because so many of these kids are from our area here.
Yeah, and even Kevin Weeks, who announced the game, gave a shout out to the Penn's Elite. Because he knows how many Penn's Elite players are on that Penn State team. So I think you're right. That's a good shout out for Western Pennsylvania. Hey, and like I said, who knows? Maybe the next Sidney Crosby could be right here from Pittsburgh, PA.
You never know.
I mean, the guy up in Toronto played in Arizona.
I do think it is quite an accomplishment, going back to the Sydney thing. If you think about it, 20 years of hockey, and you could technically say that you could go to any single Penguins game and always see Sidney Crosby score.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he
I mean, I know this
in
is
order
an
to
average,
get order to get a point per game, you can't go very long without a point.
Right. Yeah. So that is an amazing career. Imagine if, every single game you went to, you watched a baseball player hit a home run.
Right.
Every single game.
Every game.
Well,
and that's what Washington's seeing now, with Ovi and him potentially breaking the record this year.
Yeah.
I think it's great for hockey. I hope people tune in for the Ovi stuff, and I hope they tune in to watch some of the playoffs, because some of the first round matchups could be Eastern and Western Conference final matchups.
Right.
I mean, Colorado and Dallas in the first round. Are you friggin' kidding me? That's going to be an amazing series.
So let's talk about when we can plan on hearing the next Hockey Jesus.
I think I'm going to wait till after they play on Thursday.
Sermon.
There's really not much to talk about between now and then.
Okay.
So I think I'll probably, I'll probably do it after the game on Thursday, because I'm going to be out of town this weekend. So yeah. Okay. Also, I'm supposedly getting a call from a Chicago station.
I was going to ask you
and I haven't gotten it yet, but supposedly they want to do a joint thing where I'm on there, so maybe I'll pull them on, and we'll talk a little Blackhawks.
Yeah, a little Blackhawks. That sounds good to me, Counselor. Any last words before we move on to the next segment of our famous sports broadcast?
Yeah, for those out there, even if you're just a casual hockey fan, tune into the Frozen Four. Try to watch Penn State next weekend. Those games will be on ESPN, so it's basically the semifinals and then the championship. But really, really, really good stuff.
Okay. Thanks for watching the Sports Porch. As always, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and X, and hop on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We're at the Sports Porch Podcast. Click the notifications, and your phone will just magically tell you when we're live every Monday night at 7:30, and you won't have to do a damn thing except look at it, which is what you do for, according to my phone, an average of like 5 hours and 22 minutes a day. So
poof,
should be really easy if you think about it. So
it's magic.
Last segment of the night, what we are watching, and I'm going to take a page out of the Grant Schwabini's book, and I'm going to describe it as this. You have time. You waste time. You don't like wasting time. You like not wasting time. You watch TV. You watch your phone. You pay for streaming services. You don't like paying for streaming services, but you pay for them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you should probably try not to waste time. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to help you not waste time because we pay for the same streaming services. And for some fucked up reason, we don't mind wasting time.
We're good at it.
To help you not waste time.
We're efficient at it.
And if we think that you shouldn't waste your time on a show or a documentary or a movie or a concert or a comedy bit or anything else.
Definitely documentaries.
We're going to tell you that.
Sci-fi.
We're going to tell you, don't waste your time. We'll waste it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think that you should waste your time, which technically wouldn't be wasting your time.
Because you're going to watch something great.
That's right. We're going to tell you that you should waste your time on this.
Mm-hmm.
I could say something about the Pirates this weekend, but I'll just...
Don't waste your time on the Pirates.
Yeah, don't waste your time. I think that one's a given.
So that's what we're watching. And the only qualification is you have to have completed the season that you're currently in, or you have to have completed the entire documentary, the entire movie. If you walk out of it or you turn it off, you can't give a review because you didn't stick it out to the end.
That's right. You got to watch the whole season. Yeah. Otherwise, you can't have an opinion.
This isn't like ice hockey, folks. This isn't skating.
You can't walk out in the middle of something. You can't stop in the middle of a season and say it was terrible. You got to. We do it the whole way to the end.
I think I should just do this from now on instead of the Grand Schwabini. I think I should just introduce it.
But
we'll let him.
He's a little bit more consistent with his message.
Wasting time, you have to cut that intro by about 50%.
I know. I know. I was making it up as I was going on, and we're still introing the goddamn thing. All right. HJ.
So what the hell are you watching?
HJ took a
No, that's not what I want to talk about.
You want to talk about that?
No, I want to talk about the other one.
Oh, you want to talk about mine?
No, I want to talk about mine.
That is yours.
No, that's not mine.
What are you talking about? You told me you watched it.
I did watch it, but I don't want to talk about it. You talked about it last week.
Oh.
Here, where's mine?
Yeah, where is yours? Did you upload a picture?
What the heck? What did you do? You deleted it out.
I didn't do anything. We're going to talk about mine, okay?
Okay,
we'll
talk about yours, and then I'll bring up mine. Actually, I can bring up mine right now.
I made a promise that I was going to watch the Walking Dead series from beginning to end, every single one, good or bad, and I am continuing with that promise. I watched The Walking Dead, Dead City on Netflix. I just finished watching Daryl Dixon. I watched The Ones That Live. I watched the entire Walking Dead. I watched the entire Fear the Walking Dead. This one, The Ones That Live, I thought was good. This one, I think Schwaber didn't like it.
He didn't like it. No,
I liked it. What it does is it takes Negan and Maggie and brings them back together, and then it ends. The final episode ends in a pretty cool way that leads you to believe there's more to come.
Ah, okay, good.
Now
I like that because I don't think that should ever end.
Right, and it shouldn't.
They're Walking Dead.
That's right. And if you can walk when you're dead,
why would it end? Why would it end?
So now you're just fucking with me.
No, it's true. Like I agree. It should go on. Outfield. It should go on to infinity.
What do you say? Why are you bringing this back to the Pirates?
Because I'm just frustrated sitting here. Because we just had to talk about it.
So anyway, look, if you're a Walking Dead fan and you haven't watched this, I'm not going to put it up there with the original series or the first 3 years of Fear the Walking Dead. But I'm not going to put it up there with The Ones That Live. But I've liked them all so far, except for the last few years of Fear the Walking Dead, which I think were just brutal to watch. The Ones That Live,
they drug that out way too far.
They did. The Daryl Dixon and this one, not bad. Not bad. This one was probably a little less than Daryl Dixon or And I haven't watched season 2 of that with the Book of Carol yet, but this one is a little less. But I'm hoping there's more. If you're a Walking Dead fan, it's worth the watch. It's a little campy, but they're not going for multiple seasons, so they have to kind of lump things together.
And there's a history. There's such a long history with that. You have to respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So moving on. You did I did delete it. My apologies.
I know you did. Yes. I don't know why you did. Well, maybe because you didn't want me to talk about it, but I'm going to.
Is this on Max?
This is actually, so this is kind of weird. It's on Netflix. You can watch.
Oh yeah.
I watch. So the show that I'm watching is Yellow Jackets.
Right.
This is not a new show. This is an old show. This has been out since 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
At least the first season came out in 2021.
Right.
The third season, I think, just recently came out. And so I can't talk about the second or the third. I only watched the first season. And I can tell you, so it's a psychological drama. That's what they call it. It's basically, the premise is there's a girls' high school soccer team, circa like around the mid 90s, like 1995, 1996.
Right.
Their plane crashes on their way to a championship game. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, they don't find them for like years.
Ooh, is this like a Lord of the Flies kind of thing?
It is.
Interesting.
And most of the people survive the plane crash, except for most of the adults. They all die. So, like you said, Lord of the Flies.
It's a good day to be a Yellow Jacket.
and at first you're like, it's like your typical survivor. Okay, they're going to find us. And then they realize they're not going to find them. And they find this cabin and they kind of, their minds start to fall apart. But the really cool thing that I like about this series is they flop in between what should be like real day, like 2010, 2020, somewhere around there.
Right.
And when it was happening. So you can see like in as they're adults, like how they're so messed up, but you don't know why they're so messed up because you're reliving it with them.
Right.
But you're showing the characters that already have gone through this, but you haven't seen what they've done.
So, okay. So it's safe to assume then if they're fast forwarding to 2010-ish or whatever.
Yeah. I think
nobody ever finds them, or at least.
No, they find them eventually. Like I think it's around episode 6 or 7. I think there are 9 in the first season.
Okay.
They show them being rescued.
Okay.
But they don't show the rescue. They just show them like in the media. Like,
right.
Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened. And everybody's like, they basically are a mess.
Right.
So, but you don't, even at that point, you're not really sure because they didn't show you everything yet.
Yeah, well, let me think about this. Let's take a girls' soccer team, put them in a cabin alone together, give them a couple years. I mean,
yeah,
go figure. Everybody's a mess.
Yeah,
I mean,
and there were.
If it was us, we'd be like,
it was a girls' soccer team, but there were 2 boys that were there, and they survived. So you can figure what happens there.
Lucky boys.
And there was one coach who was like in his mid-20s who also survived. Well, kind of survived. Something happened to him. You'd have to watch to see what happened to him.
Is he a fan of boneless chicken wings?
No comment.
All right.
But I loved it. I thought it was great. I have heard though that season 2 is no good. And here's the problem I have right now. Season 2 is not on Netflix. They did this crazy thing where it was on Showtime. Yeah. So now it's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So
and you don't want to pay for Paramount Plus?
I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it.
I'm just relieved that I'll never have to watch either of these.
Yeah.
See,
Scott, you wouldn't like any of these. This is not you. Yeah. This is not you.
Window.
There you go. It's all about not.
See, we just saved you.
Time. You did.
12 hours in your life.
I'm forever grateful.
You're very welcome.
I just need a plate of boneless chicken wings.
There you go. All right, you've been watching the Sports Port. You've been watching us live, which I do recommend. It's not wasting your time. All over the world on Facebook, YouTube, and X. And I'm going to drop that podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts.
Anywhere.
You can go on over to YouTube and you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube at any time at the Sports Porch Podcast. For the counselor, who is below me. For HJ, who is to my right in the studio. And for the Grand Schwabini, who is hanging out with Neil
in Florida.
I am your technical director, and I am out.
Giblogs. Giblogs.